From the heart of the city, where the beat meets the rhythm of your day, it's Shawna and LaLa.
What's up? You're listening to Shawna and LaLa. Check us out at shawnaandlala.com. Follow us on all social media channels at Shawna and LaLa. You could follow me on Instagram at TheRealShawnaMay.
And check me out at Bella_Lala125.
I am still getting over this sickness, whatever it is. I don't know. Nobody seems to know, but everyone has it, it seems.
I'm still, I got it first. I gave it to Shawna. I am on, I think, what do we say? It's been a month now. So my first symptoms came, I think it was September 16th, if that was the day, or 13th. And I still have it. So I feel okay, but the congestion just never ends. It's like, I feel like there's just a never ending pot of congestion in my head that just keeps coming and coming and coming.
Yeah, I talked to my aunt. She has had it for going on 6 weeks.
Oh my God.
She went to the doctors twice. They gave her antibiotics both times, and it's still not clearing her up. I went to the doctors, and they told me it was viral.
Yeah.
So I just got to let it run its course. But they also said it could be a virus with allergies on top of it.
Oh.
So that's probably what it is. The allergy medicine that I'm on is just not doing anything now. I've been taking like Benadryl at night, and it's working. It helps, but then by the afternoon, it just hits you.
Yep, it comes right back. Yeah, let it run its course, because I'm, like I said, I think I'm at a month right now of having it, or maybe almost 5 weeks, and I finally am almost over it, I think. So, yeah, you have a few more weeks to go. Isn't it crazy? Like, right now, our country, there's so much going on. Florida is getting hit with another hurricane.
I know. I'm so scared, because I also saw on Facebook last night that not only are they getting hit with, what is this one called?
Milton.
There's another one after Milton.
Another one?
Yeah.
So we had Helene, Milton, and now another one's coming?
I don't know if it's going to be bad or what. But I can't find any other information on it. It's just a comment that said there's going to be another storm hitting after Milton on the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. So at least they're giving dates. But I go to Florida in 2 weeks.
I forgot about that.
So, yeah. I'm in a Disney group, actually a few of them. I don't even know why I joined the Disney groups on Facebook, because I'm really not like a big, huge Disney fan, but I do want to learn like how to save money going there.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I joined. But anyway, there's all these posts about, I'm going to Disney. I'm flying out Thursday, meaning this week. And Disney is closed for like 2 days. So people are like, we don't want you here. Cancel your trip. Because they don't want the out-of-towners taking up their resources.
Yeah.
Which I understand. I totally get it. And why would you come in for a vacation when there's a hurricane going on?
A category 4 or 5 hurricane. Yeah. They're stupid. It's stupid.
One person said if their flight is canceled, they're driving.
Oh my.
Why?
Well,
Why would you even risk your life and your child's life for a vacation that you could just plan next month?
I know. I don't understand it. I know a lot of people worry about money, like not getting their money back. And a lot of companies are horrible with that. I had that happen to me. Hurricane hit, and the airline, or I forget, it was either the airline or the hotel, did not want to give me my money back. And I'm like, you guys are evacuating, and because that little city wasn't in the evacuation zone, even though the one right next to it was, and the beaches were, they went, they fought me on it. So I think that's a problem with people, is like, I'm going to lose out on a lot of money. It sucks though. You have to put your life before that. And
I would rather lose out on the money.
Exactly.
Than die.
Yes. And I'm seeing all these stories of people that are not wanting to evacuate or leave. And I was upset, like, what was wrong with you? But then I see the other side of it was that everyone tried leaving yesterday, and the highways were just backed up, and people were and did run out of gas because they were stuck in this back-to-back traffic. So that's scary in itself. My sister said she saw some videos of the floodwaters on the highways already, and people are trapped in their car. So I've heard that where people say, I feel like I'm safer to stay in my house where I have food, water, and shelter versus in a car.
Yeah.
So my thing is, if I want to move to Florida, which we all know, and if a hurricane's coming, when I know it's coming, I'm evacuating early. I'm like, all right, let's go fly up to New York, or drive to a relative's house in another state or another part of Florida. That's what I would be doing the week prior. I'm not 2 days before it's going to hit, and that's where people, and I get it, because someone's like, hey, people have jobs, people can't afford it, people don't have money for gas to even travel from their home. I get it, but they have, I don't know. You gotta figure it out, because it's not worth your life staying there.
I know. My aunt in St. Augustine is not leaving. Her husband just had surgery. And then my aunt, my mom's sister, she's not leaving either. But her daughter posted, because I guess a lot of people were like messaging her being like, you're crazy for not evacuating. She had posted a map of like where her house is and then where the evacuation area is. And she's nowhere near it.
Yeah.
But she's supposed to get a lot of rain and wind. And she's like, this isn't my first time. I've been doing this for 30 years. She's like preparing for a hurricane. She's like, and if worst comes to worst, she's like, I'll just take my mom and we'll all go to a shelter.
Yeah. I know. A lot of the old school Floridians that have been there forever and ever and ever, they are like, listen, we've been through hurricanes, we're staying. But they're saying this is like the worst hurricane in a long, long time. So,
like 100 years.
Yeah. And so it's people, I'm upset because the area that I was looking to move to in 3 to 4 years, which is like the Sarasota, Englewood, down over there on the Gulf side.
Yeah.
Helene like almost wiped it out, and now this one's probably definitely going to wipe out like Siesta Key, Minnesota Key, Longboat, Anna Maria Island, and those are all my favorite spots, and I'm really upset about that.
So Anna Maria Island, I think I just showed you the picture.
Yeah.
I follow them on Facebook, and somebody had just posted like an hour ago a picture of, it looked like a tornado coming in.
Oh,
but
my
it was
God.
the storm.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So it is really bad over there. And my mom's friend lives in Sarasota, and she didn't get hit with the last hurricane.
Yeah.
This hurricane, she said she went and picked up her mom from a nursing home, and she has her mom with her. So I'm like nervous for them.
Yeah. Sarasota's going to get hit really bad. Siesta Key especially.
She said her part is supposed to be fine, but you just never know.
You don't.
It could hit our street and miss the street next to us.
Yes.
So you just never know.
They're saying that like people who are 10 foot, and that's crazy to think, because how high we are from sea level, I forget how many thousands of feet or whatever it is, like you and I in New York. In Florida, the safer spots is inland, and they're only 10 foot above sea level. So Lakewood Ranch, where my brother-in-law's brother lives, they're like 10 foot above sea level, which is right now a kind of a safer zone. I'm like, 10 foot? Like, I don't want to be 10 foot. I want to be 1,000 foot. I want to be 500 foot above sea level. The water comes in. It's scary. But
they showed it on the news last night, 10 feet water surge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the height of like 2 houses.
Yeah.
2 like little, I don't know what you call them, beach houses.
Yeah.
It's crazy what they were showing on the news, and the devastation is absolutely horrendous.
I know. Between that and North Carolina, I've been so depressed lately, and it's just from all this negative that's going on, I think, and I feel so bad for all these people. I can't even imagine what they're all going through in both states, mainly and especially North Carolina, because they were not prepared.
No.
What that would never ever happen, and it happened. So I feel for them. They lost everything, and so many people died. It's really heartbreaking.
It's horrible. And the pets.
Yeah.
The pets is what gets me. I saw a little cat, just in the water, trying to survive, and somebody went and grabbed him. But oh my God, it is just heartbreaking. And we have trucks actually going down there.
Yes.
So
I'm getting donations together. Shawna, she is too. So We're doing anything we can. And if you're listening to this, go online and look for what you can donate. They're looking for non-perishables, diapers, wipes, medicines, like, like Tylenol and all that. First aid kind of stuff, bed sheets, tents, anything that can help them survive a little bit right now, and water especially. So they have Amazon wish list. Yeah, the non-perishables, though, they said they can't have anything that needs to be cooled, or I don't know, I think they can't even cook. So stuff that they can just crack open and eat. It's scary. But that's all we can do is just pray and do our best to help, because we are what are going to help each other. We can't rely on the government, and that's been shown multiple times.
No, you can't rely on really anyone.
Yeah. I
mean, you have to rely on yourself.
The community. And speaking of the government and relying on them for decision making, I'm really stressed out. You know how I feel about vaccinations, and it's really important to me. I vaccinated Gio from a baby, and he had so many bad reactions as a baby. And I didn't know. I was a young mom. I didn't know much about it. And every time he would get his 6 shots in one visit, he would be half dead in my arms, lethargic, rash all over his body, fevers, like crying. Then I couldn't wake him up. And I would tell the doctor, and they'd say, oh, that's normal. Oh, that's normal. Oh, that's normal every time. And it got to the point where I was like, this can't be normal. You know what I mean? Like, it's not normal. Other people were saying, oh, my kid's fine. They get a little sleepy. But it wasn't normal for my child. So I made the decision to not vaccinate him after, I think it was like his kindergarten shots. And I've been able to not have to do it, just by luck. But they finally caught up to me. He's in 6th grade now, and they are giving me 14 days. Well, now it's 12 days to vaccinate my child, or he gets kicked out of school. And
I just don't understand how they could kick him out, kick any child out.
Because he
didn't get a vaccination.
A vaccination that's not going to kill anybody. We have immune systems. We can fight things. Our children can fight things. My toddler has never been vaccinated besides one when she was an infant. I think it was 1 or 2. And that was because I was pretty much forced. But anyway, she is so healthy. Gio, on the other hand, has always been, the fevers for no reason, sick, looks sickly. And I blame it on all the vaccines, and how his body reacted to them. Not everyone's going to react badly, but some people do. And I feel like that should be taken into account, that, hey, this kid does not respond well to it, And as a mother, I was crying the other day just over this, because I am backed into a corner, and I shouldn't feel that way. I feel like anything that has the potential to hurt my child, or to kill my child, or to maim my child, anything that has that potential, I should have the choice and not be forced to give it to him. And someone would say to me, well, you have a choice. Don't put him in school. So then my child suffers. I asked him, I'm willing to homeschool him. I said, Gio, let me homeschool you. He cried. No, I want to be with my friends. I want to play sports. So I would do it. But my child has to suffer because I'm backed into a corner over something that has the potential to hurt, maim, kill, hinder, make my child sick. And I feel anything that's like that, we should have 100% choice to opt out of it and still let them do something, or be in school. And I don't know what to do. I just feel so hopeless, helpless. It's a very horrible feeling, and I'm so mad at New York State for not allowing us to have exemptions like other states. Other states have religious, and they have personal exemption. So the religious is, I'm Catholic. I don't believe in abortion, right? I'm not one that's saying that no one should get them, but I personally do not believe in it. And they put aborted fetal cells in vaccinations.
They do, and it's on the FDA's website.
Yeah. So my religion, I shouldn't want to inject that to my child.
No.
But New York State took that right away from me. And that's not why I don't want it injected to him, but I'm saying that is my religious exemption, but I've lost that because New York State took it away from me. And personal, other states have a personal where you just say, no. Personally, I do not believe in giving my child this, and they allow it. Why can't we have that? Why? A lot of these diseases out there are not going to kill us anymore. They said even, what was it? Measles or no, polio was only brought back because of the vaccinations, because it was now, because you can give it off type thing. It's like a live virus.
I don't know.
We could take that part out because I don't want to be misspoke, but I just feel that a lot of these diseases or illnesses that we're vaccinating for, like chickenpox, for example, hey, they're not going to die over it. When I was a kid, they told me, because I had an autoimmune disease, that if I got chickenpox, I could die or end up in the hospital because I had an autoimmune disease. My mother took me and I got my chickenpox vaccine.
You still got it, right? The chickenpox?
No, I didn't get it. But what I'm saying is I had the issue. So my mom vaccinated me. She didn't expect everyone in school to be vaccinated to protect me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is, if you have a fear, if you have a worry, and you believe in vaccines so much, vaccinate your child. They should be protected, right? So
Yep.
That's what my mother did for me. She didn't call my teacher and say, everyone should be vaccinated in Lauren's class. Everyone should be vaccinated on the bus that she's on. Whenever my mom got a note home that someone in school had chickenpox, she kept me home. Or she didn't put me on the bus if it was someone on my bus. She didn't make everyone else suffer because of my fear or my illness and her fear for me, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how it should be. If you're vaccinated and you're protected, then you're good, you know? And they say, oh, so you could bring it home. All right. Like, then your child should, if your other child at home, get him vaccinated. Chickenpox isn't going to kill you unless you have some autoimmune disease or some, you know, your chemo or something where you're very frail, you know?
Yeah. I got the chickenpox, and it was right before I was supposed to go for surgery.
Oh, no.
So I had the chickenpox, and my surgery had to be rescheduled. And so fast forward till now, a few years ago, I guess my immune system was very low. And I have no idea why. But I went to the doctors, and I said, oh, I have this like little like pimple rash thing on my stomach. And he's like, you have shingles. And I didn't know what it was. So I was like, oh, I'm like, it doesn't really hurt. Like, it just itches. So my dad was going for surgery because he had cancer. And they came in and said, does anyone has anyone been sick or have shingles? And everyone turned and looked at me. And I'm like, why are you all looking at me? And my dad's like, because you have shingles. And I'm like, I had shingles. I said, but I'm fine now. But it was absolutely nothing. When I tell you, like, it was just a little bump on my stomach, it was absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
My grandmother at the time, she was like, don't come near me. I haven't gotten my shingles vaccine. If, you can't come near me because I'll get sick. And I'm like, really? Like, she was freaking out over it. So she went and got her shingles vaccine, and she ended up getting shingles from my uncle. And
even though she was vaccinated?
She's like, well, if I wasn't vaccinated, I would have gotten it worse. And I'm like, Grandma, stop with the vaccination. Stop. Just please stop. And, she was big into the vaccinations until COVID happened. And then she got 3 vaccines, 3 COVID shots, and then she got sick.
I absolutely hate that when I've seen so many of my friends or talking to friends that they got all their COVID vaccines, for instance, and then they've gotten COVID over 4 times. And they're like, I'm on my 6th time getting COVID. I had all my vaccinations and boosters, so that's why I'm still standing here. If I didn't have those, I probably would be dead. And I'm like, wait, backtrack. How many times did you get COVID?
Yeah.
6 times. And I'm lucky to be standing here because of those vaccines. And I'm like, are you? I just want to shake them. I have not been vaccinated for COVID. Shawna has not been.
No.
I had it once in the beginning and then never again. Shawna has never had COVID.
I've never had it.
We've been around multiple people with COVID.
Yeah.
So crazy. So I've noticed the people who have had COVID multiple times are all vaccinated with boosters. Yeah. So that tells me, not that they're dying, but you're getting it over and over and over again.
Exactly.
You're messing with your immune system.
Yep. And that's what these vaccinations do, is they screw with your body. And, some people may be fine with the vaccine.
Yeah.
Some people have issues. They die. They
get sick. They get other symptoms.
Swear that is what happened to my grandmother. that she got those 3 vaccines and, you know, she didn't get the other vaccines. She was against it, but it was too late. She got those 3 vaccines, and whatever it did to her system, it caused leukemia, and it ended up killing her.
Oh, yeah. I believe it. I've noticed that all the people in my life that have gotten multiple vaccinations, they've had health issues after it, and they don't put 2 and 2 together. 2 of my relatives, my Uncle Bobby and my Aunt Mona, they both had the same symptoms after having the COVID vaccines, and my friend Jackie's father, I forgot. They all had the same symptoms. They're
not like calling people out, Lauren.
Well, they're real people. And so my Uncle Bobby died after the COVID vaccine. He got his bowels stopped working.
Oh my God.
And then he died. Like, it was like a major blockage, whatever it did. And it was like, I forget, a few days after the COVID vaccination or a week after, I can't remember. My friend Jackie's father, same thing, COVID vaccination, and then his bowels stopped working. You're seeing all these cancers, these fast growing cancers hitting young people. You're seeing the heart issues that these kids are having, young athletes passing out on the field. Now they just said that whoever is looking into it, because so many young athletes have been having these mini heart attacks.
That happened to my doctor. He had that. I mean, he's not young. He's probably my mom's age. And he swears it happened from the shot.
Yeah. And he's a doctor, and I believe it. But yeah, I do feel we're going to see a lot more and more health issues coming out. I have this one girl who has gotten every COVID shot and vaccine booster under the sun for COVID, and she has been morbidly sick, like with every kind of health issue. Like, these random things are popping up now. I think she has Hashimoto's now and all this stuff. And she's like, I don't understand what's going on with me. And I'm like, maybe it's because of you've gotten a million of these COVID vaccines and boosters. And like, I see a little science behind it with, I was talking about, me and you have never gotten COVID, even though we didn't get the vaccine, or I got it once, but we didn't get it multiple times. You didn't get any COVID.
No.
You know, when I was in the Dominican Republic, I love telling this story because it just shows I was in a wedding, and everyone there, I shouldn't say everyone. Most of them were all vaccinated for COVID. So let's say it was a group of, I think, 10 of us or 12 of us. And how many were unvaccinated? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So out of the 12, 7 of us were unvaccinated for COVID. And someone had COVID at the wedding, and it spread. My sister, who never had COVID before, she got COVID. So she was one of the unvaccinated who got COVID, but she never had it before. Us who had COVID before but were not vaccinated, we didn't get COVID. All the other people who were vaccinated and had all their boosters, including my parents, my dad and my stepmom, they had the COVID vaccine, they got the booster, they got COVID really bad. And all the other people who had the vaccine and boosters all got COVID really bad. My sister was the only one who wasn't vaccinated, but she didn't have the antibodies from getting COVID prior, like all of us other people did. So I said right there showed that in a small group of people where we were infected with COVID, who caught COVID and who didn't.
Yeah.
The vaccinated caught it, and someone who never had the antibodies from getting it in real life, you know?
Yeah.
So right there, it just showed, and I was like, that shows you right there on a small scale, like, the vaccines make it worse, I believe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And, you know, like I said, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
And your body. You know, my body can't handle vaccinations. We saw that firsthand. The doctors didn't want to believe it until I ended up in the urgent care and the ER for a week.
Yeah.
And then finally the doctor said, I think you're allergic to the flu shot.
But thankfully
they don't know what I'm allergic to in the flu shot because I'm not allergic to eggs.
Yeah.
So they don't know what it is. But I'm allergic, and they don't give me any vaccinations.
No, you're lucky. And that's what they have to see is it doesn't come down to, oh, she's allergic to eggs or allergic to shellfish or allergic to gelatin that's in these vaccinations. Maybe it's not an allergy. Maybe it's our immune system overreacting to it, and our bodies, everyone is different. So if someone has a reaction, I don't care how small it is. All right, their body's not handling this, okay? We should have that right to say, no, we don't want any more in our body or in our children's body, and they should still be able to go to school.
Yeah.
it's disgusting. And I wish I could move out of this state tomorrow, but we can't with my husband's job. And so now what do? My hands are tied. And it's a horrible freaking feeling as a parent to know I have two choices and my son wants to go to school. So I have to sit there and watch them inject him over the next however many years for him, in order for him to be in school with something that could potentially do some really bad harm to him.
Can you break the vaccines up?
You can, but like right now he needs the DTaP. That's all together. I don't think they break it apart because they make it in one vial now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have to look into that. Can they give it separate? Like back in the old days, they gave us a tetanus shot. It didn't have all the other crap in it, I'll look into it. But that's the other thing. The doctors are never very on board with helping you with that. One time I came in, I said, can I have my son have a titer? What is it called? Teeter or titer?
Titer.
The titer. The titers for the MMR. I didn't want him to get the MMR. And they gave me such a problem about it. They're not helpful. It's like, like they don't care how you feel.
They're getting their money anyway.
Yeah. Well, they lose money. I heard that the people who deny getting their well visit vaccinations, they lose, I forget how many thousands of dollars per kid that's not vaccinated. So there's a money incentive behind the doctors pushing it too. So it's sad. Oh. Yeah. I looked it up and they don't get money for the unvaccinated. They get like a bonus type thing for how many kids that they get vaccinated.
That's just sickening.
Big pharma. That's what you get. That's what you get. So then now, yeah. So Shawna, I don't know. I have 12 days and that's not much time to, I don't know what I could do. I don't know. They don't care about his reactions. They don't care about any of that.
I would talk to a lawyer.
Yeah, I wish I could find a group. There's probably some kind of groups on Facebook for New York State and all this. There has to be, right?
We just have to find it.
Yeah. To anyone out there who has to deal with this, my heart goes out to you because right now I feel like tears are coming because it's just, that's how important it is and scary it is as a parent to know that you're potentially could hurt your child and you have no choice really. I mean, I have a choice, but I don't,
No, you don't. It's almost like they're putting you in jail.
Yeah.
Or they're putting Gio in jail.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to get a shot, and he first he started crying, "Am I going to die?" Not that I've told him that, but he thought it was the COVID shot, and he's heard bad things about it. And I was like, "No, it's not the COVID shot." He's like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, it sucks, and he's stressed out because he doesn't want to get it, but he doesn't want to not go to school. He doesn't want to get kicked out, and I wish that New York State would bring back religious exemption and a personal exemption, if anything. I mean, I know that's the harder one, so at least religious exemption. Something.
It should be our body, our choice.
Oh yeah, that only goes for hurting life, not not saving life. I guess like that, their body, their choice. That's great. That's your choice. You want to have an abortion. Well, it's my choice then to not want to vaccinate my child or be forced to vaccinate, to have a job, to have anything like that. And I guess they don't see it that way.
On the show today, we have Chanda Hinton from Chanda's Center for Health. Hello.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So, you created a organization, actual business, based around your disability, and you really wanted to advocate for others and create a center for where people can go for different therapies like physical therapy, occupational therapy, and things like that. So what made you want to create a business around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as an individual, a woman with a disability myself, I wanted to create it based on my personal story. And so I think a lot of us, we have stories in our lives, we have experiences, and those oftentimes can be the catalyst for change. And so for myself, I was accidentally shot in the back of the neck between C5, C6 vertebra. So I am a quad. I have limited function. I basically get through the world every day with a power chair, a service dog, and an adaptive vehicle. But when it comes to my healthcare, I also navigate through the world with being from the point of my injury. I was, basically catapulted into what was a very traditional healthcare model that did not work for me. And what I mean by that is that it basically, upon my paralysis, they said, hey, here's your paralysis, here's all the secondary conditions, here's all the medication that we want you to take, and go have a lovely life. And that didn't that didn't resolve in a lovely life. And so I had lots of, as a child, I had a lot of health issues with UTIs, bowel, bladder. I mean, you think of it, I had it. But when I turned 21, that's kind of when it really changed. I started having a lot of chronic pain, go to the doctor, and they're like, oh, yeah, didn't they tell you that's another one of your secondary conditions? And I was like, no one's ever told me that. And so this was in 2003, right at the peak of the opioid epidemic. And so for me, I was just handed Percocet. So rather than asking me more about what I needed for my body to be proactive and preventative and giving it the things that it deserved, it was just another medication. So I got really sick. I got down to 59 pounds. I wasn't feeding, I wasn't eating. I was basically, living off of Percocet because I was in so much pain. Nobody was finding the core issue to the pain, but rather masking it. So I had to be hospitalized, was being fed intravenously, through a feeding tube as well. And so what was really interesting for me, and I share this story because the dynamic, or the kind of the dynamic, was that the medical model, like when I was shot when I was 9, saved my life, but the overutilization of the medical model actually almost took my life again, landing in medical intervention. And so it was a really weird dynamic that I had to really navigate through and identify, okay, what do I do with this? Because I don't want to, because after I went and had medical, time with medical in the hospital for a whole month during this later part of my life, they said, okay, go back and do what you were doing before. And I said, absolutely not, because I'm going to be back here. I'm just going to be doing this vicious cycle of like overutilizing medication to the point where I need to be using medical intervention to then save my life for overutilization. And so finally I'm like, I'm done with this. And so from that, the Chanda Center was created. And I'd love to tell you so much about that, but I kind of want to see, like, is there any commentary that we want to have around that story first?
No, I mean you hit it on the head with the medical field. It's just, I feel lot of it.
That's just how they are.
A lot of it is masking the pain and masking the issues and giving you something else to treat one issue, but that medication gives you 20 other different symptoms that then you have to. It's just like a never-ending cycle. So I feel for you. I totally get it. We both do.
Yeah.
This is where all the Chanda Center for Health portion of my life started, because the physician that had seen me my whole life, who also was kind of contributing to some of those more limited proactive and preventative measures, I learned so much. One, I learned that my physician communicated to me that, well, in health and being educated in the healthcare system as even a student, he was never taught about proactive and preventative services, granted, especially for folks with long-term disabilities. And oftentimes he's like, I never recommend it because depending on what kind of insurance coverage people have, if I recommend something amazing that I know is going to impact their life, but their insurance is not going to pay for it, then I'm basically dangling this like carrot in front of them. And I was like, wow, like, I'm learning the parts about the system that really affect the end user, but also affect the physician, because I want to give some credit to physicians that absolutely care about humans, but they're stuck in a system that's much bigger than them. And so with all that being said, and my physician's like, well, go back and do what you're doing, I said, absolutely no, I want to participate in other things. And so he said, well, what's that look like? Well, my sister came forward, who had been studying yoga and movement for a very long time, said, can't we just utilize the things that Chanda's body needs in order to sustain wellness? It's not going to make her walk again. It's not going to do these grandiose things that like we all tend to maybe focus on more. Like we just want a quality of life. I just want a quality of life. And so I started participating in things such as acupuncture, massage, and chiropractic, and ongoing physical therapy. And those things, I always tell people I'm having this conversation with you today because of those services. And I do those services. They're a part of my healthcare regimen every single week. I wouldn't go without them. But then I realized it wasn't just my story. I saw this, that not a lot of insurance companies for those with long-term disabilities, i.e. Medicaid and other funding sources, were not covering proactive and preventative care. So my first line of like, I needed to do something because I was motivated. And I had to do it in two ways. I needed to do some legislative and policy work, but I also needed to create a healthcare clinic so that way people, until we change the system, we need to get these services available to folks with disabilities here and now at a clinic through donor dollars. And so that's kind of how the history and the story behind the Chanda Center. And then there's so much more as we continue kind of talking about some of the systemic change and the benefits of these integrative therapies and equitable health that is coming from that really strong model of systemic change in addition to direct services to the people that really need it.
Wow. That's absolutely amazing, though.
We need that here in New York.
Yeah.
Because
Yes, we need them everywhere.
Everywhere.
I know.
I mean, I think it's amazing that you took the time to go to legislation and go to the government and fight for that. You know, I mean, we fight in our own ways, and
we talk about it. Everyone talks
it.
about it, but no one actually does.
I've been to Albany, and they just kind of, oh yeah, you know. But it's amazing, and it's so true about the insurance companies. We see it every day. You know, they don't want to pay for my physical therapy, you know, because I'm going to need it for the rest of my life. I'm like, well, yeah, if I don't use it, you know, if I don't go to physical therapy, I'm going to end up in a wheelchair. And, you know, I need to have that mobility that I have left.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we're trying, and it's great that you said that, because we're trying to find a couple states over the course of 2025, 26 that want to collaborate with us so that we can actually go into those states. We have to identify which ones we kind of feel like we're going to be a little bit successful based on the maybe political landscape, which really sucks as well. But I'm not even sure I'm supposed to say sucks on the radio.
No, you're fine.
It is okay.
So, you should hear my mouth.
Yeah, so basically I do want to start collaborating with, because we get calls from states all the time saying, help us get these services in our own state through Medicaid benefits. And we're happy to do it, but we just need the boots. We need the real advocates on the ground to do it with us, because those folks know the Medicaid department system, like the contacts at their own place. Like, I know our Medicaid folks here very well. So it's easy for me. I mean, granted, I know them well now, but at the time that I ran that bill to get Colorado Medicaid to fund acupuncture, massage, and chiropractic, I didn't know anybody, but now I do, to the point where, you know, if there's other advocate pieces that, you know, other states want to come into Colorado, like, I know exactly who the advocate community is within the state of Colorado to say, hey, another state's coming to us saying, hey, do you want to do this, this, and this? Like, you know, and so I think that's always been the hard part, is like, we haven't been able to really identify those strong advocates in those other states, because we know that we know people in those other states want it. It's just, the coordination piece is really essential.
It is, you know, and I know New York definitely needs it, and New York is going to be a fight. Because they don't want to approve anything for anyone.
It's getting tougher now, right? They're trying to take services away.
Yeah, they're trying to take services away. They're decreasing hours for, you know, day habs, and they actually shut down the workshops for the people that, you know, can't go to a job 9 to 5. They would go to like a workshop, and it would be state funded, and they completely shut that down like a few years ago. It's absolutely insane that the disabled community is being put on the back burner.
Oh yes.
It's so sad. And you know, massage helps me. I pay out of pocket. You know, acupuncture, we've tried that. It was not covered by my insurance. I don't know if it was covered by your insurance, law.
No, it wasn't covered by mine either. We were
Yeah.
paying we got like a few free trial periods, but yeah, we were paying out of pocket for that too.
Yeah, and chiropractic, I don't know about chiropractic.
Mine was not, but I think Medicaid paid for part of yours.
Yeah, so I probably had like a copay or something, but it's absolutely ridiculous that they just want to shove drugs down your throat so that you could have another medical problem. Basically is, you know, what they want. They don't want to cure you. They just want to give you another medical issue and mask whatever's going on with you. But the more medication you take, I believe gives you other health problems.
Well, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we did here in Colorado when we went to legislation. We just said, one, let us prove to you that this is going to be cost effective, because if you are proactive with our bodies, you're going to see a reduction in ER visits, hospitalization, resubmissions into the hospitalization, reduction of pressure sores. Like, we had it all laid out. And so I'm just so grateful that our legislative body heard it and had a relatability, because often when we testify, our legislative body would say, oh my goodness, I have to go do those services, and I'm a fully able-bodied individual, to the point where I couldn't imagine somebody with a long-term physical disability would not be getting access to those services, let alone the cost savings that it's producing, because it doesn't mean that we're going to take away everything. Like, we're still going to have secondary conditions, but we're going to minimize the significance of those secondary conditions so that they don't become chronic. And when they become chronic, that's when the state's going to pay more on us. And so we just said, like, you can either keep paying and wasting money by not being preventative, or step up and pay these services out of Medicaid at no cost to the member, and see the cost savings that's going to then impact much more of your your state bottom line. And we've been studying the way this it's called the integrative health waiver. We created it as a waiver, and we've been studying it over the past 11, 12 years since we started it, and it does show a cost savings for our folks. So basically, what we proposed to them did actualize. The hard part is that we're having to get more people enrolled, but the enrollment has been a little bit slow, because our state went through an entire systems change in terms of how case managers enroll people into the program. And so they keep saying, well, the data, the cost savings is validity. It doesn't have any validity to it, because there's such minimal people in the waiver. And I keep saying, well, then open it up and make sure that people are aware of it, because case managers are not aware of it. And so we live in a state where we've had this waiver available to a variety of people with long-term disabilities across the entire state, and their own case managers that broker their services don't know about it. And so it's like, it's not, and I keep saying that's a violation to the consumer. You can't hold back their benefits, especially when it's cost savings and it's productive and it reduces pain.
Yeah. Do you think, I'm just thinking out loud here, but do you think they don't want it to be successful? Because I've sat on committees, I've been to the state, and, we've gotten signatures and, had people sign up. And I'm actually on a committee right now with the state. And it seems to me like we keep saying, let the service coordinators know, the care managers know about this parent advocate consumer board, where we go to Albany and fight and whatever. And they don't want to send out the invitations. They don't want to send out, like, they sent me like a flyer, and I'm like, what is this? And so I made up my own one, and they're like, oh, you can't send that out because it didn't come from us. And I'm like, well, make it your own, put it on your letterhead. And they give me like every excuse not to. So I kind of feel like they don't want it to be successful, and they just want to be able to go with, making the same decisions and not allowing us to be a part of it. I don't know. And maybe I'm wrong, but.
No. I think that you're absolutely right. I think that because, us in Colorado, we have an advocate community that is very close with the Medicaid department. So it's always oftentimes it's like, not without us, like, nothing without us, basically. Like, if you decide to change something pretty significant that impacts the disability community in the state of Colorado, like, the department knows that we're going to catch wind of it, and we're going to be in. So they usually actually include us in the process of their decision making, because they know that if they don't, it's not going to, we won't let it really go much farther. Right. And so that's one good thing. and then to kind of speak to what you just communicated is that, yes, I do believe that the departments, the Medicaid departments in various states will either block something that they know doesn't have a return on the investment, meaning like if it's a here we pay this out and we don't see any sort of cost savings or an ROI of like other things, that it prevents or impacts other portions of the person's overall care and cost. Those are the ones that they're probably going to be like, yeah, we're not going to spread it around the world because that's just more cost to us, right? If there's not a component of cost savings, which is still ridiculous. That doesn't mean that it's okay. But I do think that they're more apt to, or should be more apt to, sharing the information, especially if there's a cost savings component attached to it. And but it doesn't always mean that we also get that same level of attention. You get a little bit more, but there's still sometimes these blocks. And I just don't know always. There's different, we get told different things from the department about various things all the time. So it's not, I don't think we as an advocate community ever really know, what is truth or not truth. And, but I will say that we are a very fortunate state where we do have a lot of collaboration between consumer and the actual decision makers around our state Medicaid program.
Yeah, you're very, very lucky. We need you to come to New York. Move to New York.
Yeah. Well, I didn't start it. I just jumped in. There's been advocates way before my time that have probably been paving the road for this, and now it's just my turn to step in. And I know that when I start to age out, another youngster is going to step in, and so that's just the process of advocacy. But I think that it always starts. It's always the political land. It's always how many strong advocates with strong expertise live in that state that really want to do something about it. So there's so many variables, right? Because and I like that the feds make it so that states can make their own decisions, but sometimes I also get concerned to which one of those particular benefits should really be mandated on a federal level and not state by state, because I think that there are basic human right type of disability services that should not be determined state by state, but should be mandated from a federal level.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I agree with that.
The whole thing is just insane to me, and it's a work in progress.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a work in progress.
Well, thank you so much, Shanda, for calling in today. It was great having you on the show, and I'm definitely down if you're coming to New York to fight for us.
Yes.
I mean, if there's anything that we can do to help. I know you were saying you need, boots on the ground type thing. Shawna, especially, and her mother, they have been advocating for the disability community since she was born. And they're her mom is like a world of knowledge, and she fights. So
she fights.
And is there in New York, is there a pretty large advocate organization? Like, do you guys have one established? Kind of like, so here in Colorado, it's called Colorado Cross Disability Coalition. Do you have anything similar to where it's it is an advocate organization that you guys collaborate, like kind of organize some of the, I would say because we know ADAPT, everybody knows ADAPT, right?
Yeah.
But I also know that separate from ADAPT, we also have, pretty large disability organizations that have an advocate wing. And I just didn't know what that landscape looks like in New York.
I mean, we have different agencies. Like, we have an ADAPT. We have it's called Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, and that is like the state. It's shorthand for OPWDD is shorthand for it's the abbreviations. So that is like the state run for developmental disabilities. But as far as like advocates, there's no like specific advocate group except the one that I'm in, which is the one where they're trying to they're trying to keep it like hush hush, So we've been like just talking about it and telling, other case managers and, and it's not just for our county, it's for all of the Hudson Valley. So it's not really also by state. So OPWDD is like just for, I believe, Hudson Valley, but I could be wrong. It could be throughout New York.
Which Hudson Valley has
Okay.
a few different counties in it. I don't know how
Yeah.
many, but it's just, a few different counties. I wonder, I think Long Island has their own too.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
Manhattan, I don't know. But yeah, it's not, we'd have to look into if there's any more.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like because it should be definitely separate from the state and its own entity. That's like we are a nonprofit that is a disability advocate organization that is organizing and watching all the various bills that are going through the Capitol within your state to make sure that the disability community is always aware of any sort of policy that's going to, like as you mentioned, change the landscape of whether it be caregiving, whether it be durable medical, all of that. And so, and that might be the organization that you mentioned, that you're a part of. And, but yeah, it's always so hard to find those. And so
It
so,
really
yeah.
is. Yeah, it really is. And now that you said that, I'm going to look up some information and I'm going to ask my mom. Maybe she might know if there's like an actual, advocacy organization, but I really don't think there is. I think it's just that one that is run by the state, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Oh wow. Okay. Thank you all for wanting to know more about the Chanda Center and what we're doing here from a direct service capacity and integrative health and proactiveness. And I really appreciate the opportunity for this to be shared with others.
yeah, absolutely. And what is your website in case our listeners want to get more information or
Check you out.
Yeah.
check you out?
Yep, it's chandacenter.org. So it's CHANDACENTER, chandacenterforhealth.org.
And that's our show for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much to Chanda Hinton for calling in today. Everyone, check out her company, chandacenterforhealth.org.
And just a reminder, guys, Brian Kilmeade, who we interviewed a few episodes ago, his tour is coming up on October 20th at 7 p.m. at the Paramount Theater in Peekskill. So make sure you get your tickets now before they sell out. It's going to be a great show, and maybe you guys can meet us. We'll be there.
Check out our website, shawnaandlala.com. Follow us on social media at Shawna and LaLa. We will see you next week.